I found the text messages on my son's phone at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night. That woman is drowning in medical debt. One more treatment and she'll sign anything. Her clinic is worth at least $3 million. My blood ran cold as I kept reading. They thought I was just a desperate, dying mother. They had no idea what was coming. What I did next exposed a scheme so twisted, it saved not just my family, but 4 others. And my son and I? We gave the performance of our lives. Tell me, where are you watching from right now? Every mother, every parent who's ever felt helpless needs to hear this story. My husband Marcus used to say I had a sixth sense. Elena, you can read a room before anyone even speaks, he'd tell me. He died in a car accident when our son Daniel was just 8 years old. For the last 19 years, I'd raised Daniel alone while building Bennett Women's Health Clinic from a small practice into 3 locations across Northern California. 30 years as a doctor taught me to trust my instincts. I diagnosed hundreds of patients by listening to what they didn't say, by watching the subtle signs others missed. And right now, sitting in my living room at 2 a.m. with stage 3 ovarian cancer eating away at my body, those instincts were screaming that something was catastrophically wrong. Daniel, my 27-year-old son, my only child, was upstairs sleeping. Or so I thought. His phone sat on the kitchen counter, buzzing with notifications. He'd left it there when he went to bed, unusual for him. He was always glued to that phone lately. I'd come downstairs for water. The chemotherapy made me nauseous at night, made sleep impossible. The cancer had been diagnosed 6 months ago. Aggressive. Advanced. The treatments were brutal and expensive. Even with insurance, I'd burned through $200,000 in savings. Daniel knew this. He'd been so supportive, driving me to appointments, holding my hand through the worst days, telling me everything would be okay. Mom, don't worry about the money. We'll figure it out. The clinic is doing well, right? Too many questions about the clinic lately. Too much interest in my will, my insurance policies, my business accounts. I told myself I was being paranoid. The cancer was making me suspicious. Daniel loved me. He was my son, my baby, the boy I'd raised alone after Marcus died. But the phone kept buzzing. I walked over, picked it up. The screen lit up with a message from someone named V. Is she getting weaker? We need to move faster. Jared's getting impatient. My hand trembled. I unlocked the phone. I knew his passcode, 0814, Marcus's birthday. Daniel had never changed it. What I saw in those messages destroyed me. I scrolled through the conversation, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might wake Daniel upstairs. V, how much longer? You said 6 months. Daniel, the last chemo cycle almost killed her. Doctor says maybe 3 to 4 more weeks. She's signing the power of attorney papers tomorrow. V, good. Once you have control, transfer everything to the offshore accounts. Medical debt story is perfect cover. No one questions a dying woman's expenses. Daniel, the clinic's worth $3.2 million. Plus her life insurance is $2 million. Once she's gone. I stopped reading. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process the words. Once she's gone. My son. My Daniel. The boy I carried for 9 months, nursed through fevers, put through medical school, loved with every atom of my being, was waiting for me to die. I kept scrolling, hands shaking so violently I almost dropped the phone. Daniel. Jared's sure about the medication switch? Jared. Positive. Replace her anti-nausea meds with placebos. She'll think it's the cancer progressing. Hospice in 2 weeks, dead in 4. Natural causes. No investigation. They were going to kill me. I pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from screaming. Tears streamed down my face, hot and silent. There were more messages. Dozens of them. Going back 8 months, before my diagnosis. V. Your mother's annual checkup is next month. That's when Jared can access her files. Jared. Dr. Jared Chin. My colleague at the clinic. The oncologist I'd hired 3 years ago. The doctor I'd trusted with my own cancer treatment. They'd planned this. The diagnosis. The aggressive treatment. The mounting debt. Everything. I scrolled further back. Found messages with a woman named Simone. Simone. Daniel, I know this is hard, but it's the only way. You deserve that money. She's going to die anyway. Why not benefit from it? Daniel, she's my mother. Simone, she's sick. You're giving her purpose, letting her leave you something meaningful. It's compassionate. Simone, his girlfriend of 10 months. The woman he'd introduced me to at Christmas. The financial advisor who'd offered to help manage my medical expenses free of charge because you're Daniel's mom. I'd hugged her, thanked her, trusted her. I sat on the kitchen floor with Daniel's phone in my hands, the cold tile seeping through my thin nightgown. Stage 3 cancer, they'd said. Aggressive but treatable. I'd believed them. Believed Jared when he said the treatments had to be this harsh, this expensive. What if I wasn't even sick? The thought hit me like lightning. What if Jared had falsified everything? The scans, the blood work, the diagnosis? What if the chemotherapy was just poison, making me weak enough that no one would question when I died? I pulled up my patient portal on Daniel's phone, logged in with my credentials. My medical records loaded. Biopsy results. Positive for stage 3 ovarian cancer. CT scans, multiple tumors. But were they real? Or had Jared, with full access to the system, simply uploaded fake images? I needed proof. Real proof. The clock on the wall read 2:47 a.m. In 5 hours, Daniel would drive me to my appointment with Jared. In 5 hours, I was supposed to sign power of attorney papers, something Daniel had been pushing for weeks. Just in case, Mom. So I can handle bills if you're too weak. If I signed those papers, I was dead. My phone, my actual phone, sat on the coffee table. I grabbed it with trembling hands, went to the bathroom, locked the door, and made a call. Dr. Morrison? It's Elena Bennett. I'm so sorry to wake you. I need a second opinion. Emergency. Can you see me first thing tomorrow morning? Without telling anyone. Dr. Rachel Morrison had been my medical school roommate, now chief of oncology at Stanford. If anyone could tell me the truth, it was her. Elena, it's 3 a.m. What's wrong? Rachel, I think someone's trying to kill me. And I think my son is involved. Silence. Then, come to my office at 6 a.m. Side entrance. Don't tell anyone. At 5:45 a.m., I slipped out of the house while Daniel was still sleeping. I left a note on the counter. Couldn't sleep. Went for a walk. Back soon. I drove 90 minutes to Stanford Medical Center, my body screaming in protest. The chemotherapy side effects were real. The nausea, the weakness, the hair loss. Whatever they were giving me was destroying my body. Rachel met me at the side entrance, her face etched with concern. She'd aged since I'd last seen her, more gray hair, deeper lines around her eyes. But her gaze was sharp as ever. Elena, you look dying. I finished. That's the point. I handed her a USB drive. These are my medical records from my current treatment. I need you to review everything. Scans, blood work, medications. I need to know if my diagnosis is real. Rachel's expression darkened. You think someone falsified your cancer diagnosis? I think my son and my oncologist are trying to murder me for my estate. And I need proof before I confront them. I showed her the messages from Daniel's phone. I'd taken screenshots of everything, hundreds of them. Rachel read in silence, her jaw tightening with each message. When she finished, she looked up at me with fury in her eyes. How long do I have? Give me 4 hours. I'll run every test myself. New scans, new blood work, independent lab. If there's fraud here, we'll find it. For hours later, I sat in Rachel's private office. She placed a folder in front of me, her expression grim. Elena, I don't know how to tell you this. My heart sank. It was real. I was dying. You don't have cancer. The room tilted. What? Your original biopsy was falsified. The scans were doctored. I compared them to database templates. Someone with administrative access uploaded fake images to your file. She pulled out comparison scans. This is what your actual CT scan shows. Completely clear. No tumors. No cancer. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process it. The medications you've been taking? Rachel continued. I analyzed the pills from your prescription bottle. They're not chemotherapy. They're a cocktail of toxins designed to mimic cancer symptoms. Severe nausea, hair loss, weight loss, organ stress. Prolonged use would cause actual organ failure within weeks. They were poisoning me. Slowly. Making me believe I was dying of cancer, so no one would question when I actually died. How long have I been taking these? Based on your blood work, about 5 months. Can it be reversed? Rachel's expression softened. Yes. Stop taking the medication immediately. With supportive care, your body will recover. You'll be weak for a few weeks, but you'll survive. I will survive. Tears streamed down my face, relief, rage, grief all crashing together. What do I do now? I whispered. Rachel leaned forward. You call the police. This is attempted murder, medical fraud, conspiracy. No. I wiped my tears, something hardening in my chest. If I go to the police now, I'll get Daniel arrested. But Simone and Jared will disappear. They'll destroy evidence, flee the country. This is organized. There might be others. Others? I pulled up more messages I'd found on Daniel's phone. Simone has done this before. There are references to the Phoenix case and the Portland widow. She's a professional. She finds vulnerable, wealthy people, gets close to their heirs, and orchestrates elaborate schemes. Rachel stared. This is bigger than your family. Exactly. Which is why I need to play along. Let them think I'm still dying. Let them make their moves. And catch all of them. Elena, that's incredibly dangerous. I met her eyes. Rachel, they tried to kill me. They used my son, my own child, to do it. I'm not letting them walk away. Rachel studied me for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. What do you need? I need you to help me document everything. I need fake medical records showing my cancer is progressing rapidly, worse than expected. I need placebo pills that look identical to what Jared's been giving me. And I need contact information for a federal investigator who handles medical fraud. Rachel pulled out her phone. I know someone. FBI. Agent Sarah Reeves. She specializes in healthcare fraud and conspiracy cases. She paused. But Elena, if you do this, you'll have to watch your son try to kill you. Can you handle that? Could I? Could I look Daniel in the eyes knowing he was counting down the days until I died? Could I pretend to love him while he pretended to care? I don't have a choice, I said quietly. If I don't stop them, they'll do this to someone else's family. Rachel made the call. 2 hours later, Agent Sarah Reeves sat across from us in Rachel's office, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I showed her everything. The messages, the falsified records, the poison disguised as chemotherapy. Agent Reeves listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back. Mrs. Bennett, what you're describing is a sophisticated operation. Medical identity fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy, likely multiple victims across state lines. This could be federal racketeering. How many others? I asked. Based on the messages you showed me, at least 3. Maybe more. She pulled out a tablet, typed quickly. Simone Vega. Real name, Simone Castellano. She's been on our radar for 18 months. We suspected her involvement in 2 suspicious deaths. Wealthy individuals whose heirs suddenly came into money shortly after. But we've never had enough evidence. You do now, I said firmly. Agent Reeves met my eyes. If you're willing to wear a wire, document conversations, and testify, we can build a case that puts all of them away for 20 years minimum. I'm willing. Mrs. Bennett, this means living with people who want you dead. It means taking risks. Are you absolutely certain? I thought of Marcus. What he would say if he knew his son had become this. I thought of the other families, the Phoenix case, the Portland widow, people who died because no one stopped Simone. I'm certain. I drove home at 2 p.m., my body exhausted but my mind crystal clear. Rachel had given me 3 weeks' worth of placebo pills, identical to the poison Jared had prescribed. She'd also created fake medical records showing rapid deterioration. When I walked through the door, Daniel jumped up from the couch. Mom, where were you? I was worried sick. You left a note saying you'd be back soon. That was 8 hours ago. The concern in his voice sounded so real. If I didn't know better, I would have believed him. I'm sorry, honey. I let my voice shake, let myself lean against the doorframe. I felt dizzy on my walk and had to sit down at the park for a while. Then I went to the pharmacy to pick up my medications. Everything took longer than I thought. Daniel rushed over, put his arm around me. You should have called me. I would have picked you up. His touch made my skin crawl. This was the boy I'd rocked to sleep. The teenager I'd stayed up with during exam stress. The man I'd put through medical school by working double shifts. I know, baby. I wanted to feel independent for a little while longer. I let tears fill my eyes, not hard considering everything. Dr. Chin called while I was out. He wants to see me tomorrow. He said my latest blood work shows the cancer is progressing faster than expected. I watched Daniel's face carefully. For just a split second, less than a heartbeat, something flickered in his eyes. Relief? Excitement? Then it was gone, replaced by perfect devastation. No, Mom, there has to be something else we can try. Another treatment, another. Daniel. I took his hand. We've talked about this. We've done everything we can. The treatments aren't working. The debt is over $300,000 now. Maybe it's time to. Don't say that. Don't you dare give up. Such a good actor. Or had my son learned to lie so perfectly? I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. I pulled out the papers Simone had prepared, the power of attorney documents. That's actually why I wanted to talk to you. These papers you asked me to sign. I'm ready. Daniel's eyes widened. You are? I trust you, sweetheart. If something happens to me, I need to know you can handle everything, the clinic, the accounts, the bills. You're all I have. The irony of those words hung between us. Daniel pulled me into a hug. Mom, I promise I'll take care of everything. You don't have to worry. Over his shoulder, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. A dying woman embracing her son. That's what anyone would see. They wouldn't see the tiny recording device Agent Reeves had sewn into my collar. That evening, Simone came over for dinner, something she'd been doing twice a week since my diagnosis. To keep you company, she'd said, and to help Daniel through this difficult time. She arrived at 6 p.m. with flowers and a casserole. Elena, you look tired. How are you feeling? Weak, I admitted, letting her help me to the couch. Dr. Chin says the cancer is spreading faster now. He wants to discuss hospice options. I watched her face. Watched the micro-expression of satisfaction she couldn't quite hide. Oh, Elena. I'm so sorry. She sat beside me, took my hand. Her skin was cold. But maybe hospice is the right choice. You fought so hard. You deserve peace. Peace. She meant death. Daniel and I were just talking about the power of attorney papers, I continued. I'm going to sign them tomorrow. Simone's grip on my hand tightened. That's very wise. Daniel needs to be able to manage things for you, especially with the medical bills piling up. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. I made my voice small, frightened. The clinic's accounts. I'm worried about protecting them. For Daniel's future. Is there a way to transfer them to a protected trust? Simone finished smoothly. Absolutely. In fact, I've already drafted some paperwork. With your permission, we could set up offshore accounts that shield the assets from medical debt collectors. Completely legal. Many of my clients do it. Offshore accounts. Just like the messages said. Would that help Daniel? After I'm gone. It would help tremendously, Simone assured me. He wouldn't have to worry about creditors coming after his inheritance. Everything would be protected. Okay, I said softly. If you think that's best. Simone smiled, warm, trustworthy, compassionate. The smile of a serial killer. After dinner, I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I locked the door, pulled out the burner phone Agent Reeves had given me, and texted. Simone just proposed offshore accounts. She's moving faster than expected. Agent Reeves responded immediately. Perfect. Keep her talking. We're tracking everything. I flushed the toilet, washed my hands, and returned to the living room where Daniel and Simone sat close together on the couch, whispering. They sprang apart when I entered. Sorry, I said. Did I interrupt something? Not at all, Mom. Daniel stood quickly. Simone was just saying she should probably head home. It's getting late. Of course. I walked Simone to the door. Thank you for dinner. And for helping with the financial planning. I don't know what Daniel and I would do without you. Simone hugged me. Your family, Elena. I'll do anything for family. I watched her walk to her car, a Mercedes S-Class. Expensive for a financial advisor who claimed to work mostly pro bono. When I turned around, Daniel was watching me with an unreadable expression. You okay, Mom? Just tired, honey. I think I'll go to bed early. Good idea. Big day tomorrow. Signing the papers and meeting with Dr. Chin. Yes, I agreed. Big day. I climbed the stairs slowly, one hand on the railing. I could feel Daniel's eyes on my back, calculating how much longer I had. 3 weeks, I thought. Agent Reeves said we'd need 3 weeks to build an airtight case. I could survive 3 more weeks of this hell. I had to. The next morning, Daniel drove me to the clinic for my appointment with Dr. Jared Chin. I clutched my purse. Inside was the recording device Agent Reeves had given me, disguised as a pill organizer. You okay, Mom? Daniel asked, glancing at me. Just nervous, I said. Which was true. I was about to confront the man who'd been slowly poisoning me for 5 months. We walked into Bennett Women's Health Clinic, my clinic, the place I'd built from nothing. My staff greeted me warmly. They had no idea what was happening behind closed doors. Jared met us in the hallway, all professional concern. Elena, Daniel, come on back. In the examination room, Jared pulled up my latest test results on his computer. I'm afraid the news isn't good. The cancer has metastasized to your liver and lungs. At this stage, aggressive treatment would only cause suffering without significantly extending your life. Daniel took my hand. How long does she have? 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe less. I let myself cry. Not difficult, considering I was sitting across from a man who'd tried to murder me. Is there any hope? Jared's expression was perfectly calibrated sympathy. Elena, you fought incredibly hard. But sometimes the kindest thing we can do is accept the inevitable and focus on comfort care. I'm recommending we transition you to hospice. Hospice, I repeated numbly. You'd be home, surrounded by family, with medication to keep you comfortable. No more painful treatments. Just peace. Peace. Death. That was their endgame. Okay, I whispered. If that's what you think is best. I'll make the arrangements, Jared said gently. We'll start next week. Next week. They were accelerating the timeline. After the appointment, Daniel drove me home. He was quiet, subdued, playing the grieving son. Mom, he said finally, I want you to know, everything I've done has been because I love you. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Where was the boy I'd raised? When had he become this stranger? I know, honey, I lied. I love you too. That night, I met Agent Reeves in a parking lot 3 miles from my house. She sat in my passenger seat, reviewing the day's recordings. He's accelerating, she said grimly. Hospice next week means they're planning to kill you within 10 days. Can we arrest them now? Not yet. We need to catch the money transfer. Once they actually move funds from your accounts, we have them on wire fraud, which is federal. Right now, it's conspiracy, harder to prove intent. She looked at me. Can you hold on for 1 more week? Do I have a choice? Yes. We can pull you out right now. Witness protection. You disappear, and we arrest them based on what we have. And Simone gets a good lawyer, claims she was manipulated by Daniel and Jared, serves maybe 2 years? Agent Reeves didn't answer. We both knew I was right. 1 more week, I said firmly. Let's finish this. 3 days later, Simone arrived at my house with a briefcase full of documents. Daniel had arranged everything. To make it easier on Mom, he'd said. I sat at the kitchen table, my hands trembling. Not from fear this time, but from rage I had to keep buried deep inside. These are the power of attorney papers, Simone explained, spreading documents across the table. This one gives Daniel full authority over your medical decisions. This one covers your financial accounts. And this one establishes the offshore trust we discussed. I picked up a pen. Agent Reeves's voice echoed in my head from our last meeting. Get her to explain everything on recording. We need her voice describing the fraud in her own words. Simone, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. Can you explain the offshore trust again? Why is it necessary? Simone's smile was patient, practiced. Of course, Elena. With medical debt exceeding $300,000, creditors could come after your estate after you pass. The offshore trust protects your assets, the clinic's value, your savings, your life insurance payout. So Daniel receives his full inheritance without any of it being seized for debt collection. And this is legal? Completely legal, Simone assured me. Wealthy families do this all the time. It's just smart estate planning. Lie. The offshore accounts were for theft, not protection. Okay. I signed the first document. Then the second. My hand hovered over the third. The one that would give Daniel access to transfer millions. Mom. Daniel leaned in, concerned. You okay? I looked up at my son. The boy I'd raised alone after Marcus died. The child I'd sacrificed everything for. Daniel, do you remember when you were 10? You broke Mrs. Patterson's window playing baseball, and you were so scared. You wanted to run away, but I told you the right thing to do was face the consequences. Tell the truth. Take responsibility. Daniel's face went carefully blank. I remember. I taught you that honesty was the most important value. That integrity was everything. My voice cracked. Did I fail you somehow? Did I teach you wrong? For just a moment, 1 fraction of a second, I saw something in Daniel's eyes. Shame? Regret? Then it vanished. Mom, you taught me everything important. You're the best mother anyone could ask for. He squeezed my shoulder. That's why this is so hard. But these papers, they're about protecting everything you've built. Honoring your legacy. Such beautiful lies. I signed the final document. Simone gathered the papers quickly, efficiently. Perfect. I'll file these tomorrow. Elena, You've made Daniel's future so much easier. That's all I want, I whispered. To know he'll be okay after I'm gone. After Simone left, Daniel made me tea, chamomile my favorite. He handed me the cup with such tenderness. Mom, you should rest. You look exhausted. I took the cup, held it but didn't drink. After he left the room, I poured it down the sink. Agent Reeves had warned me. Don't consume anything you haven't prepared yourself. Now that you've signed the papers, they might accelerate your death. I went upstairs, locked my bedroom door, and texted Reeves. Papers signed. She explained the offshore fraud clearly. Got everything on recording. Her response came immediately. Excellent. Tomorrow Simone will file the documents and attempt to access your accounts. We'll have FBI agents ready. One more day, Elena. Then it's over. One more day of living with people who wanted me dead. One more day of pretending to be a dying woman when I was actually getting stronger every day without the poison. I could survive one more day. The next morning, I stayed in bed. Played the part of a woman too weak to get up, too close to death to notice what was happening around her. Daniel checked on me at 8 a.m. Mom, how are you feeling? Tired, I whispered. So tired, honey. Just rest. I'll bring you breakfast. He hesitated at the door. Mom, I love you. I want you to know that. I love you too, Daniel. The saddest part? Some piece of me still meant it. After he left, I checked the burner phone. Agent Reeves had texted at 6 a.m. Simone filed the documents electronically at 5:47 a.m. She's attempting to access your business accounts now. FBI is monitoring in real time. Daniel just left your house. He's meeting Jared at a coffee shop downtown. We have agents on both locations. Stay in position. I texted back. How long? 2 hours maximum. Once they initiate the wire transfer, we move in. 2 hours. 120 minutes. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The same ceiling I'd stared at on sleepless nights after Marcus died, wondering how I'd raise Daniel alone. The same ceiling I'd stared at when I'd gotten my fake cancer diagnosis, terrified of leaving Daniel orphaned. That boy no longer existed. Maybe he never had. At 9:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. Agent Reeves. Simone just initiated a wire transfer of $1.2 million from your business account to an offshore bank in the Cayman Islands. Second transfer of $500,000 from your personal savings pending. We have everything we need. FBI moving in now. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. It was happening. My bedroom window overlooked the driveway. At 9:23 a.m., 3 black SUVs pulled up to my house. FBI agents in tactical gear poured out. I heard the front door burst open downstairs. Heavy footsteps. Shouting. FBI. Search warrant. If there's anyone in the house, make yourself known. I unlocked my bedroom door, walked to the top of the stairs. Agent Reeves stood in my foyer, surrounded by her team. She looked up at me. Mrs. Bennett, are you safe? I'm safe, I called down. He's not here. He left an hour ago. We know. We have agents picking him up now. She climbed the stairs, met me at the top. Are you okay? Was I okay? My son had tried to kill me. My doctor had poisoned me. My son's girlfriend had orchestrated the whole thing. No, I said honestly. But I will be. Agent Reeves had me wait in my bedroom with a female agent while the FBI searched my house. They collected Daniel's laptop, his phone records, financial documents, prescription bottles, everything. At 10:47 a.m., Agent Reeves returned. We've arrested all 3. Simone Castellano was picked up at her office while trying to initiate a third wire transfer. Dr. Jared Chen was arrested at Denver Coffee House. And Daniel. She paused. Daniel was arrested outside Simone's office. He was there with her. Of course he was. What happens now? We're taking them to federal holding. They'll be arraigned tomorrow on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, medical fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and racketeering. The DA is recommending no bail. They're all flight risks. Can I see him? Agent Reeves studied me. Mrs. Bennett, I strongly advise against. I need to see my son. She sighed. I'll arrange it, but it has to be at the federal building, supervised and recorded. That's fine. 2 hours later, I sat in a cold interrogation room at the FBI field office in downtown Sacramento. Agent Reeves stood in the corner. A camera recorded everything. The door opened. 2 agents led Daniel in, wearing handcuffs and an orange jumpsuit. His face was pale, eyes red. When he saw me, he stopped. "Mom, sit down," Agent Reeves ordered. Daniel sat across from me. The table between us felt like an ocean. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "You knew," Daniel finally said. "The whole time. You knew. I found the messages on your phone. 2 weeks ago." His face crumpled. "Mom, I can explain." "Don't." My voice was steel. "Don't you dare try to explain. You tried to kill me, Daniel. Your own mother. You poisoned me for 5 months. You watched me lose my hair, vomit until I couldn't stand, cry myself to sleep from pain. And you did nothing. It wasn't supposed to hurt you that much. It wasn't supposed to hurt me?" I leaned forward. "What was it supposed to do, Daniel?" "Tickle. Simone said it would be like going to sleep. That you wouldn't suffer. That it was merciful." "Merciful?" I laughed, a bitter sound. "You stole 5 months of my life. You made me believe I was dying. You held my hand and told me everything would be okay while you counted down the days until you inherited my money." Tears streamed down Daniel's face. "I needed the money. I owe people, bad people, Mom. Gambling debts. $800,000. They were going to kill me. So you decided to kill me instead? I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me for help." My voice broke. "I'm your mother, Daniel. I would have given you everything. Every penny. The clinic. All of it. You didn't have to murder me for it. You would have asked questions. Found out about the gambling. Been disappointed in me." "Disappointed?" I stared at him. "You thought I'd be disappointed about gambling debts, so instead you became a murderer? How does that logic work?" Daniel buried his face in his hands. "Simone said it was the only way. That you were already sick, that we were just accelerating the inevitable." "I was never sick, Daniel. Jared falsified everything. There was no cancer. Just poison." His head snapped up. "What? I don't have cancer. Never did. It was all fake. They were killing me slowly, so it looked like illness." The color drained from his face. No, Simone said you were terminal. That we were just." She lied. "About everything." I leaned forward. "Daniel, you're not her first. She's done this to at least 3 other families that we know of. You were just her latest tool." "That's not, she loves me." She said. "She's 38 years old, Daniel. You're 27. You really think a woman like that fell in love with a medical student with no money? She targeted you because I'm wealthy and you're my only heir." I watched reality crash over him in waves. "Oh God," he whispered. "What have I done? What have I done?" Daniel's voice cracked, echoing in the sterile interrogation room. I wanted to comfort him. Every maternal instinct I'd spent 27 years cultivating screamed at me to reach across the table, take his hand, tell him it would be okay. But it wouldn't be okay. And I couldn't. "You tried to murder your mother for money that didn't exist," I said quietly. "The gambling debts, Daniel, I would have paid them. We would have gotten you help. We would have figured it out together." "I was ashamed," he whispered. "I couldn't face you. So you chose this instead?" Agent Reeves stepped forward. "Mrs. Bennett, we should wrap this up." I stood slowly, my legs shaky. Not from poison anymore, just from grief. "Mom, please." Daniel reached for me, but the handcuffs jerked him back. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The trial stretched across 4 weeks. Expert witnesses testified about the falsified medical records. FBI forensic accountants detailed the money trail. Other victims' families came forward. Children who'd helped their wealthy parents die, all connected to Simone. But Daniel's defense team fought hard. They painted him as a victim of Simone's manipulation. A young man drowning in debt, seduced by an older woman who exploited his desperation. On week 3, Daniel took the stand. His attorney, a woman named Sarah Kim, walked him through his testimony with surgical precision. "Daniel, when did you meet Simone?" "About 18 months ago. At a medical conference. She was charming, intelligent. She seemed interested in me." "Did she know about your financial situation?" "Yes. I'd told her about my gambling debts. She said she could help me manage them." "What did she propose?" Daniel's voice dropped. "At first, it was legitimate financial planning. But then, when my mother got sick," he stopped, emotional. "She said we should make sure my inheritance was protected. That it was smart planning." "When did the plan become sinister?" "I didn't realize it was sinister at the time," Daniel said, tears streaming down his face. "Simone made it sound like we were helping my mother avoid debt. She said the offshore accounts were standard practice. That the medical treatment adjustments Dr. Chen suggested were about reducing suffering. I thought we were being compassionate. When did you realize your mother wasn't actually dying of cancer? When I was arrested. The FBI told me. His voice cracked. I thought I was helping her. I swear to God, I thought I was helping her. Watching my son lie on the stand, or maybe tell partial truths, I couldn't even tell anymore, destroyed me. After court that day, Agent Reeves found me in the hallway, sitting on a bench with my head in my hands. He's good, she said quietly. His attorneys are building reasonable doubt. Will it work? Not if the jury believes you. Your testimony was powerful, Elena. The medical evidence is clear. But, she hesitated. Juries are unpredictable, especially when a mother is testifying against her son. What about Simone and Jared? Stronger case. We have them on the other murders too. They'll be convicted. But Daniel. She sat beside me. There's a possibility he walks. No. I looked up. There has to be justice. Sometimes the system fails, Agent Reeves said gently. You need to prepare for that. I couldn't. Wouldn't. The jury deliberated for 3 days. 3 days of sitting in a hotel room, unable to eat, unable to sleep, replaying every moment of the trial in my mind. On day 3, Agent Reeves called. They've reached a verdict. We need to be back in court in 1 hour. I dressed carefully. A navy suit, simple jewelry, my hair pulled back. The armor of a strong woman. But inside I was breaking. The courtroom was packed. Reporters lined the back row. I sat behind the prosecution table, my hands folded in my lap. The jury filed in. None of them looked at the defendants. Was that a good sign or bad? The judge spoke. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict? The foreman, a woman in her 50s, stood. We have, Your Honor. In the case of the United States versus Simone Castellano, on the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of medical fraud? Guilty. They read through 23 charges. Every single one guilty. Simone's face remained impassive, but her hands clenched the table. In the case of the United States versus Jared Chun. Guilty on all charges. Jared dropped his head into his hands. Then came Daniel's verdict. In the case of the United States versus Daniel Bennett, on the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, how do you find? My heart stopped. Guilty. Relief and agony crashed through me simultaneously. On the charge of medical fraud? Guilty. Every charge. Every single one. Guilty. Daniel turned to look at me, his face pale. Mouthing, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The courtroom was quieter this time. The media frenzy had died down, moved on to the next scandal. Simone was sentenced first. The judge, a stern woman named Honor Margaret Reed, didn't mince words. Ms. Castellano, you have orchestrated a pattern of exploitation and murder spanning 7 years. You preyed on vulnerable families, manipulated heirs, and orchestrated the deaths of at least 4 people that we know of. You've shown no remorse, no accountability, no humanity. I sentence you to life in federal prison without possibility of parole. Simone didn't flinch. Jared was next. Dr. Chun, you violated the sacred oath you took as a physician. You used your medical license as a weapon, falsifying diagnoses, poisoning patients under the guise of treatment. You betrayed everything your profession stands for. I sentence you to 40 years in federal prison. Jared sobbed openly. Then came Daniel. Mr. Bennett, the judge began. Your case is perhaps the most tragic of all. You are young. You were manipulated by Ms. Castellano. But you are also an adult who made conscious choices to participate in the attempted murder of your own mother. You watched her suffer. You falsified documents. You planned to benefit financially from her death. She paused, looking directly at him. However, I also note your cooperation with authorities after arrest, your clear remorse, and the exploitation you suffered. Taking all factors into account, I sentence you to 25 years in federal prison, with possibility of parole after 15 years. Daniel's knees buckled. His attorneys caught him. 25 years. He was 27 now. He'd be 42 when he was eligible for parole. 52 if he served the full sentence. Half his life. Gone. I should have felt vindicated. Justice had been served. Instead, I felt hollow. 6 months after the trial, I sat in Dr. Rachel Morrison's office at Stanford Medical Center. She was reviewing my latest test results. Everything looks perfect, she said, smiling. Your body has fully recovered from the toxins. No permanent damage. You're completely healthy. Healthy. Alive. Free from poison. But not free from grief. Have you been to see him? Rachel asked gently. She didn't have to say who. No. Elena. I can't, Rachel. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Rachel closed the file. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I will say this. Daniel is going to spend the next 15 to 25 years thinking about what he did. He's going to live with that guilt every single day. And you're going to live with this grief. At some point, you need to decide, is holding on to the pain worth more than trying to find some kind of peace? He tried to kill me. I know. He watched me suffer for months and did nothing. I know. He chose money over me. I know. Rachel reached across the desk, took my hand. And you still love him. That's what makes this so hard. I pulled my hand away. I don't know if I do anymore. But I was lying. And we both knew it. 8 months after Daniel's sentencing, a letter arrived at my house. Federal prison stationery. His handwriting. I almost threw it away. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd signed the power of attorney papers, where Simone had smiled and planned my death, and opened it. Mom, I don't know if you'll read this. I wouldn't blame you if you burned it without opening the envelope. I've been in prison for 8 months now. Every day, I wake up and remember what I did. What I tried to do. To you. My therapist here says I need to unpack my choices. Understand the progression that led me from being your son to being your would-be murderer. We talk about the gambling addiction, how it started small and spiraled, how the debt made me desperate, how Simone exploited that desperation. But here's what I've realized. None of that is an excuse. Lots of people have addiction. Lots of people have debt. They don't try to murder their mothers. I was a coward. I was ashamed to tell you about the gambling because I was afraid of disappointing you. So instead, I became something so much worse than disappointing. I became monstrous. You taught me, when I was 10 and broke Mrs. Patterson's window, that the right thing to do was face consequences. Tell the truth. Take responsibility. I'm doing that now, but it's 17 years too late. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing this because you deserve to know. Every single day, I'm sorry. Every single day, I miss you. Every single day, I hate what I became. I love you, Mom. I know I don't have the right to say that anymore. But it's true. Daniel. I read the letter 3 times. Cried through all 3 readings. Then I did something I'd been avoiding for 8 months. I picked up the phone and called the prison visitor services. I'd like to schedule a visit, I said. For inmate Daniel Bennett. The Federal Correctional Institution was 2 hours north of Sacramento. I drove there on a Saturday morning in spring, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles were white. I'd rehearsed what I would say, practiced in front of the mirror, written notes and thrown them away. Nothing felt right. The visiting room was depressing, fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, vending machines in the corner. Families sat at small tables, trying to maintain connections through prison glass and supervised conversations. Then a door opened and Daniel walked in. He looked different. Thinner. Older. His hair was cut short, and he wore a prison uniform that hung on his frame. But when he saw me, his face crumpled with emotion. We sat across from each other at a small table. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. You came, he finally whispered. I came. I didn't think you would. I didn't think I would either. Another silence. So much had been broken between us, I didn't know where to begin piecing it back together, or if it even could be pieced back together. I read your letter, I said. I meant every word. I know. I took a breath. Daniel, I need you to understand something. I'm here because I'm your mother, and some part of me will always love you. But I don't forgive you. I'm not ready for that. Maybe I never will be. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I understand. You took 5 months of my life. You made me believe I was dying. You watched me suffer. I know, Mom. I know. There's no defense. No justification. His voice broke. I think about it every day. Every single day, I wake up and remember what I did to you. Good, I said harshly. You should remember. You should carry that with you. I will. For the rest of my life. We talked for an hour. I told him about the clinic, how I'd hired a new doctor to replace Jared, how we'd implemented new oversight systems to prevent medical fraud. I told him about the other families Simone had destroyed, how my testimony had helped convict her. He told me about prison life. The therapy. The guilt. The long nights when he couldn't sleep because he kept seeing my face, the way I'd looked at him in that interrogation room. When visiting hours ended, A guard announced time was up. Daniel stood slowly. Will you come again? I didn't answer immediately. Could I do this? Come back here, sit across from him, try to build some kind of relationship with the son who'd tried to murder me? I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe. If I'm ready. That's more than I deserve. Yes, I agreed. It is. As I drove home, I cried. For what was lost. For what could never be recovered. For the little boy who'd loved me unconditionally and the man who'd betrayed me completely. But somewhere in that grief, there was also a tiny seed of something else. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe eventually, the possibility of it. 2 years later, I stood in front of a room full of people, doctors, nurses, administrators from hospitals across California. The conference room at the Sacramento Convention Center was packed. Agent Sarah Reeves sat in the front row, smiling encouragingly. Medical fraud, I began, is one of the fastest-growing crimes in America. Each year, thousands of patients are diagnosed with diseases they don't have, given treatments they don't need, and charged for services that never happened. Most cases involve insurance fraud, padding bills, falsifying procedures. I clicked to the next slide, Simone's photograph. But some cases involve something much darker. Organized schemes to murder wealthy patients and steal their estates. What happened to me wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern. I told them my story. Not all of it. Not the intimate details of my son's betrayal. But enough. Enough to make them understand the danger. Since my case broke 2 years ago, the FBI has identified 17 additional victims across 9 states. 17 people who died of natural causes that weren't natural at all. 17 families destroyed by schemes exactly like mine. The room was silent. I'm working with the FBI and the American Medical Association to develop new protocols. Electronic medical record audits. Third-party diagnosis verification for serious illnesses. Mandatory reporting structures for unusual patient death patterns. I clicked to the final slide, a photo of me at the clinic, healthy and alive. I survived because I trusted my instincts and fought back. But many didn't. This has to stop. And it starts with us, medical professionals holding each other accountable. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, Agent Reeves found me in the hallway. Powerful speech. You're making a real difference, Elena. How many cases now? 23 confirmed. Simone's network was even bigger than we thought. We've arrested 8 more conspirators, doctors, financial advisors, even a hospice care coordinator. She paused. Your testimony is helping convict all of them. Good. How are you doing? Really? I considered the question. Better. Some days are hard. But I have the clinic, the advocacy work, therapy. I smiled slightly. I'm rebuilding. And Daniel? I visit once a month. It's complicated. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him. But I'm trying to find a way to coexist with what happened. That takes tremendous strength. No, I said. It takes tremendous stubbornness. I refuse to let what they did destroy the rest of my life. My phone buzzed, a text from Daniel. We'd established this routine. He could text through the prison communication system. But I'd respond only when I was ready. Mom, I saw the article about your conference speech. I'm proud of you. You're saving lives. Love, D. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed, thank you. Talk soon. Not much, but more than I could have managed a year ago. He's doing better, Agent Reeves observed, reading over my shoulder. His parole hearing is in 13 years. With good behavior and the rehabilitation programs, he has a real chance. I know. Will you testify at his parole hearing? For or against? I didn't have an answer to that yet. So here's what I learned through all of this. The people closest to you can become strangers. But you? You never have to be a victim of your own story. If this story moved you, if it made you think twice about who you trust, hit that subscribe button right now. Because every week, I'm bringing you stories of ordinary people who did extraordinary things when their backs were against the wall.